about getting to a successful close, because it's true that not all deals make it to close. The best tactic is to be prepared and have a mindset of navigating this process successfully for your client. Remember the 6 core competencies you learned earlier. The 5th one is coordinate the sale to closing. So what we're going to go over right now is a timeline. Today, we will develop transaction timelines, apply best practices to avoid risk, identify ways to follow up after closing to build our business. Real estate transactions aren't particularly trouble-free. It's a strenuous and trying time that requires all the attention and effort you can command. Let's see here. Just as getting a lead doesn't make the person your client, getting under a contract doesn't mean closing a deal or getting paid. So just to expand on that, those notes a little bit more, some agents think that when they get into contract, they're like, yes, I'm going to get a paycheck. This is going to close. That doesn't always happen. And as an agent, we really have to look at it as we are in charge of this transaction, and we have to do our part. We have to do what we are paid to do for this transaction. Okay. And part of that is making sure that we're kind of the coordinator of everyone. So we have to make sure that the client's doing what they're doing. We need to make sure that the TC is sending out documents when they need to be sent out. We need to make sure that the inspection got done. All these things. It's very, very easy to get lost in the transaction if you don't have a good timeline set. Okay. So we're going to go over this a little bit more, but deal gets into contract as of today. So you got the offer accepted. Yay, congratulations, we're in contract. That's what you tell your clients. Now let's get to work. So let's say you have a 10-day inspection contingency. You should be, however you work, for me, it would be my calendar. I would put it on my calendar. Inspection contingency due at 123 Main Street. Because guess what? That means technically, if I'm in contract today, I need to be scheduling that inspection. I need to be calling the inspection company, getting that scheduled today, because chances are they could be a week out. What if they're a week out? That means you either need to find a different company, which is probably what you would need to do, or ask for an extension. Okay. There are several steps in the process where a deal can fall apart, and knowing how to manage the risks will help you take a contract to the closing table. A lot of people work together to make the closing happen. As a realtor, you and your co-realtor are conductors and coordinate all the people and the tasks that occur between the contract and the closing. It's likely also to be a time of high stress for your client. So your relationship with communication with your client is just as important as your relationship with and communication with the other realtor, and really all of the parties. As a real estate agent, it is important to keep track of the deadlines in the contract. Use the contract you have been using in previous days. Sorry, I didn't mean to read that because we're not doing this task. But what it's going to ask you to do is to use a contract and act out the timeline. So we're going to kind of go over that. Contract acceptance, let's say it was on 9/2 and the inspection period ends on 9/13 and the closing date is 10/2. So right now it's just asking you to look at the inspection period. Let's say you have 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You have 11 days to get the inspection done. How long do you think it would take to get your clients to sign a document? That's kind of a trick question, and I don't feel right just having you answer it because it's a trick question. It's going to be different for everyone.
That's what I was going to say, because some people are comfortable doing it online, doing DocuSign or something like that, where you do everything via computer, and other people, because I have one person that wants to buy a house, and they already told me that they don't work on computers, so they want everything they're going to be signing everything in person, or so
I will
think
tell you this, I totally understand that. I would be terrified if I had a client like that.
yeah.
I really would
A
be.
lot of the Hispanics who speak Spanish only, they may not know, well, they speak English, but there a lot of them that they're not, they don't, they already told me they don't feel comfortable doing that.
Let me explain to you why. One of two things. There are Spanish documents. So that should help, right? I mean, if that was one of their frustrations or maybe a fear of using DocuSign, let me backtrack. Do they have to use DocuSign? Absolutely not. Is your job going to be harder? 150%. You will have to drive the document to their house. Let me just tell you, getting clients to sign via DocuSign is the fastest way to have a document signed, and it takes 2 days. On average, it takes 2 days. So if you have to drive to their house and coordinate a time, it's going to take 5.
Yeah, I did on one of the houses that we bought. I did, it was great. It was just great doing it, just everything. I just did everything via the computer. I liked it that way. And I
Yeah,
maybe
but I get it. If they don't want to use DocuSign, are you going to turn down the client? Heck no. Okay, so let's get back on track for talking about the timeline. If the inspection is due on 9/13, do you know what that means?
that it should be completed by 9/13.
Do you know what an inspection contingency is?
That it won't go through until the inspection is completed.
So, do you know what a contingency is?
It's like a condition to approve the
It
loan.
means that they're willing to purchase the house based off of A, B, and C. Okay, so there's your buyer is saying, I will purchase the property after I know the condition of the property, which is the inspection, right? So the inspection is whatever your client wants it to be. Some properties have a sewer, some don't. Some have really fancy HVAC systems, some have a general HVAC system. My point is that they can get whatever inspections done during that inspection period, but it has to be done during that inspection period. What that means is there's a form in CAR or in your zip forms that removes that contingency. What you're doing as the buyer is saying, I no longer care about, not care. I am removing this inspection contingency and moving on to the next one. Because generally speaking, just depending on the contract, you're going to have an inspection period, an appraisal period, and a loan period, which means you have 3 reasons that you can back out of the contract without losing your earnest money deposit. Okay, and the inspection period is generally the one that happens first. That's the contingency you normally remove first. So if the inspection period ends on 9/13, that means you need to know you have to send the form out to them at least a day before that. Okay. I think that the reason for these slides is really just to tell you if the inspection is due to be removed, or if the contingency is due to be removed on a certain date, you need to be aware of that date, because what can happen is, let's say it's due on 9/13 and you don't send anything to the listing agent. The listing agent has the power that be send you a notice to perform, I think is what it's called. And essentially what that is you have 3 days to respond. So yes, it's great that you have 3 days. However, now it kind of puts you guys in a not so great spot because you have to go back to negotiations and all that stuff. Hi, Teresa. Okay, so who is involved in the transaction? A transaction touches many hands before it is complete. It is not just handled by you, your client, and the co-op client agent. Let's go over this slide a little bit. What is the first thing my buyer needs? What do the buyers need to know and do? What do I need to know and do? What does the rest of the team, the co-op agent, inspectors, lenders need to know, take action on, and when? What am I doing at each point to bulletproof the transaction? I will say this. I said at the beginning of the class that you will be the coordinator for the entire transaction. Like everything is going to go through your hands. The lender will reach out to you and say, hey, I need the client to sign this. We sent it to them. Great, fantastic. Let me bug them. Because for some reason, the clients respond to you better. Okay, I don't know why. Maybe it's just me because I'm bossy, but at the end of the day, this is your transaction and you just take ownership in all of the things that happen throughout the whole entire process. And my favorite response, if I don't know the answer, is, you know what, that's a great question for the lender. Let me find that out for you and I'll get right back to you. Or let me ask my team and I'll get right back to you. Or let me ask my broker. That's a little bit above my head or whatever. You know, I've never run across this before. People appreciate honesty. So let's take a look at the first bullet point here. What is the first thing my buyer needs? That's hard to say because every deal is different. But the number one thing that I ask my clients when I call them throughout different times of the transaction is, what questions do you have? And the number one response that I get is, what's the next step? So, or what now? What do we do now? What am I looking at now? Or whatever. They always have a question. So even if you don't really know what they need, just call them. Stay in communication with them. What do the buyers need to know and do? Really, they need to know everything. They need to know the next step. And they need to know, like, let me give you a, for instance, Teresa is my transaction coordinator, and she texts me every single time she sends something out to my clients and says, hey, this is in their inbox, please let them know. So I'll text my client, hi, you have a document in your inbox. I need you to sign it ASAP, please. Make sense?
Yes.
Everybody needs to talk to everyone to make sure that the deal goes through great. What do I need to know and do? Well, that could be different for every deal as well. What I will say is you need to know your timeline, when your contingencies are due, when your close date is due, all those important things, when the inspections are scheduled. You need to know everything about the transaction. What does the rest of the team need to know, take action on, and when? That's different for every transaction as well. I will tell you, the more you stay in contact with the listing agent, probably the better, because if they don't know what's going on, you will be served one of those 3-day get your stuff together notices, and that's never fun. What am I doing at each point to bulletproof the transaction and set myself and my buyers up for a successful close? Let me read my notes on this a little bit. What am I doing at each point to bulletproof the transaction? If they're asking me this, again, it's different for every single transaction, but staying in communication with everyone, documenting things. I mean, you should be touching this file daily, if not more than one time a day. There's times that I've touched a file 6 or 7 times in a day.
So really the important thing is to stay on top of the transactions and communicating what's going on both to your to the seller or the whoever you're working with, and whoever the other other agent is, so that everybody.
Communication. Yes. And what I will say is when you go into a contract and you know that the inspection is due in 2 weeks, don't sit on it. Don't be like, oh, I got plenty of time, I can get that done. No, you don't. You need to schedule the inspection now. You need to get the inspection done. You need to review it with your client, and then you need to discuss with your client whether or not they're willing to move forward with the current purchase that they offered, or if now that they've seen everything wrong with the home, do they want to ask for a reduction in price? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Interact and communication points. Common interaction points: communication and deadlines, communication and contract to other parties such as a title and lending, lender and buyer communication, communication of a list or lists of recommended title companies, inspectors, and insurance agents. That's the other thing. Is your client purchasing in a high fire zone? Your lender will probably help them with that, but knowing where those places are at, which do I know where those places are at? Heck no. But I do know that California has a lot of them. We have a lot of high fire zones. And it's my job, it's your job to know them. And I don't. So what happens is if I have a client that's looking in an area that I'm pretty sure is a high fire zone, I'm going to reach out to my preferred lender and say, hey, can you tell me if this is in a zone? And they want that loan, so they're going to tell you. Or you can call an insurance rep. They want that business too, so they're going to tell you. And all I say is, hey, I'm searching for homes in the zip code 95 blah 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 blah. Is this in a fire zone? Is this in a high fire zone? They'll tell you yes or no.
Now I know that probably just for an example, where I live, it's really weird because I'm not flood, but just like on the other side, it's flood. Like, so, but I think it's still the same zip code, but just different little area that we're not.
They might ask you, hey, that zip code is split. So
Okay.
give me the exact address. You know what I mean? Yeah. Scheduling and communication with the inspectors and listing agents. So not only, it also depends, like, is the house vacant? If the house is vacant, you don't really have to coordinate with the listing agent, but you still need to let them know because someone else owns the property. So they have to know when the inspectors will be out there. And the inspection, depending on what they're having done, can be 6 hours. You know what I mean? How big the house is, how big the property is. If there are 12 sheds on the property and they want all the sheds inspected, it could take a while. Sending amendments or inspection reports to other side title and lending. So those are all common interaction points. Then we're going to get a list of additional questions to ask yourself. When am I reminding the buyers to not make big purchases? Did you know that that's a thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Fastest way to kill a deal is to go purchase a vehicle 3 days before closing, or a week before closing, or in the middle. Don't buy anything big. You know what I mean? And so what they're saying is when are you doing that? Did you remind your buyer that? It happened to me. Luckily, the lender was able to save it. He purchased it cash, so I think they were able to do a workaround. He didn't finance it, but they still don't like to see your bank account change like that in the middle of a transaction. It's just weird.
We had that happen when we purchased one of our houses. I told my husband not to do anything, and he it was weird. He had a bunch of change and he took it to the bank, but it was only $76, but the lender called. I don't know if it was the lender or the underwriter wanted to know. So we had to go and get something from the bank, and because they told us not to do anything for this period of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So weird. I mean, I know that it makes sense, but I don't know. I deal with a lot of clients who are like, this is my money and I'll spend it when the heck I want to spend it. You know what I mean? Okay, so that was just the first question. When am I reminding the buyers to not make a big purchase? When am I communicating when to set up utilities and how to do it? That's probably the number one thing you get asked after the deal closes is, hey, where's the post office? And why people don't think about putting that into their MapQuest, like, I don't know, give it a Google. You know what I mean? Like, how am I supposed to know where the freaking post office is? I don't live there, buddy, you do. No, I'm just kidding. But these are the things that you're going to need to do to provide the next level service. This is how you will have people come back to you and say, man, I didn't have to do a thing. She earned her commission. You need to use her. You know what I mean? Some agents have a sheet that they ask the sellers to fill out. Where's the mailbox? When is trash day? There's some other things, but you can give that a Google as well. But like, think about when you're moving into a home. And again, it's going to be different with every home because every home is different, right? When do I negotiate the inspection report and when am I communicating this information? So again, after each step, you should be reaching out to your client, telling them this is what we're doing next. This is what you can expect next. We just got into contract. Congratulations. Let's start working on the inspections. What inspections are you thinking about getting done? What they're going to tell you 100% of the time. Okay, maybe not 100%, but they're going to say, what inspections do you recommend? Well, I recommend, if you can afford it, to get the sewer line inspected. I recommend that you get the home inspected. I recommend you get a roof inspection, and I recommend you get a pest inspection. Okay. Now they're going to ask you, how much does that cost? Well, Mr. Client, what company are you thinking about using? Well, heck, I don't know about any companies. This is what you do. What company do you use? Well, I really like to use company A, B, and C because they can normally get out to the property pretty soon and they're pretty good at their inspections, whatever you want to say. You call, you schedule the appointment, at least I do. It just kind of takes out another middleman. If you ask your client to do it, then you're having to wait on them to get you the date. And then let's say that there's someone who lives in the property, then you have to call the listing agent, see if that date works. It's just easier. But the question is, how do I negotiate the inspection report and when am I communicating this information? Right away. If you have 10 days, if you have 14 days for the inspection contingency, you just work on it right away. So you call your client, congratulations, we're in contract. Let's get your inspection scheduled. You get the inspection schedules. Normally after the inspection is completed, you have it about 24 hours after it's done. And that's when you can start working with your client on what they want to negotiate, the price, the terms, blah, blah, blah. When do I touch base with the lender, title company, or listing agent? I do it daily. Okay, maybe not the listing agent, but I am in contact with my lender daily when I'm in contract. Hey, and even if you have no questions to really ask them, I always say, do you need anything from me? That's a good way to check in with someone. Even if you don't have a specific question. Next, think about the possible documentation you will need to represent your buyers. Continue to use the buyer timeline. Do your best to track the documentation points. Let's read over some of these questions. Is this an act of communication or a document? To whom and from whom is the document going? What is the best pathway for communicating / sending the document to the responsible party? Email, phone, text, DocuSign. Notice None of these say deliver by hand. I just want to put that out there for you, Edith. I totally get it. If I had a client who was like, you know, whatever, I don't like DocuSign, I'm not using DocuSign. Great, fantastic. It's going to take us a lot longer. And while a normal contract is 30 days, we're going to probably have to push it out to 60 for you, which means we might not win very many bids because
Wow.
nobody wants to be in contract for 60 days. That's 30 days using DocuSign. Now, that might not be true. I mean, what if the person lives with you and you'd still have to print it out? Do you have access to print it out at your house?
Yes.
Perfect. Then that might be easy. Or if they live close. I'm just putting it into perspective for you. None of these are, it literally says, what's the best pathway for communicating and sending documents? Email, phone, text, DocuSign. None of these say deliver by hand. My issue is that I'd love to get you to a point where you feel comfortable explaining this to people. It's not rude. It's just the flat out truth. You know what I mean? I did win a bid one time. It was for a mobile home and the contract was for 60 days, but that's because it was a mobile home. The agent called me and said, we're thinking about not accepting your offer because of the 60 days. And I go, trust me, my client doesn't want it to be 60 days either. It's the lender. And the lender called him and we actually won the bid. But nobody wants to be in contract that long. They want to get their money. They want to move on with their life.
I think that's a good way of explaining it too, the difference between, 30 and maybe because it's paper and going back and forth and
well, let me just put it into perspective for you. On any given day, your client will need to sign up to 5 documents. Could be 10 documents. And the reason that is that in the morning, 3 documents come in. And then in the evening, they're like, oh crap, you missed an initial. We need your initial on this. So now you have to print that out, go back to their house. Let's say it's late in the evening. Now it's got to be the next day.
No, I've done everything when we've purchased and sold our house. We've done everything. I think it's really antiquated now to do it paper because everything is done on the computer. We did all the purchases we did all the things with the lender and the real estate on the computer. It was fast, real fast.
Hang on one second. Okay, let's see. Let's talk about if you're working with the seller. What does my seller need? What do the sellers need to know and do? What do I need to know and do? What does the rest of the team need to know and do? Blah, 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 blah. Same questions. Really, in my opinion, all the same answers. Because the seller is going to be looking to you for guidance on guiding them through the entire process. So the seller is going to need to know what the next step is, no matter where you're at in the transaction. The seller is going to need to know when the inspection is scheduled for. The seller is going to need to know when the inspection contingency is due and when the appraisal contingency is due. They're going to need to know why you're sending them this document. My biggest frustration is when someone sends a document and they don't tell me what it's for. You just want me to sign this? I mean, at least text me and say, hey, this is for this, and this is why we sent it to you. You know what I mean? Especially going through DocuSign. When you're meeting your clients in person, maybe it won't be that big of a deal, but because you can explain it a little bit more, Interaction points, common interaction points, communication of deadlines, communication of contract to other parties, communication of a list of recommended contractors, movers, cleaners, etc. Send contract to the title companies, scheduling and in communication with inspectors and buyer's agents, sending amendments or inspection reports to other side title and lending. What I'd like to say here is that Notice how many points of contact that you have, not only with your client, you have points of contacts with other agents, which is building relationships there. We want to do that. We want to make sure that those interactions are good with other agents so that they don't get irritated when they see our name. Right? We also have a lot of opportunities to discuss things with movers and contractors and inspectors. So we can be building those relationships along the way as well. Who's to say you're not going to meet a great lender, or I'm sorry, a great inspector, and they're like, man, you were really awesome to work with. If I have a client, would you mind if I, gave them your name? Heck yeah, you can. You know what I mean? So there's always a possibility to build those relationships. Make sense? All right, documentation points. Is this an act of communication or a document? To whom and from whom is the document going? Why is it the best pathway for communicating and sending documents to the reasonable party? Oh, what is the best pathway? Email, phone, text, DocuSign. I'm going to add another one for you, in person. What is the plan for follow-up after a document has been sent to the responsible party? Are there templates for this that I can use? There are some consideration points at the screen to think about as you plot the documentation points on your timeline. So these are all questions that they're saying. Allow time for, okay, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, reading notes. Command. Don't forget command will automate keeping up with these timelines through opportunities. You can track the progress of your transaction in opportunities, and you can set up client updates and checklists and opportunities. It allows you to track everything involved with the transaction, from activity checklists and offer management to potential commission income and compliance. What I will say is, if you're using a transaction coordinator, they can help you tremendously with this. Let's talk about best practices. Risk avoidance. You should avoid risk by acting and anticipating any potential issues that could arise. Some best practices to avoid risk may include communicate clearly and often, communicate with everyone involved in that step of the transaction, copy assistants who are involved along with the main party, set up expectations up front. Do you need the inspection response by the next day? Be sure you've communicated that when you schedule. Stay professional even if others don't. A person yelling at you does not force you to yell. The best way to control the situation is to lower your voice. Timeliness, communication, and professionalism. These are your greatest tools to succeed in this business. A big part of professionalism is operating as a fiduciary for your client. So what I will say about this, what was I going to touch on? Communicate clearly. I don't remember. You should avoid risk by acting and anticipating any potential issues that could arise. I don't remember what I was going to say about that. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Risk avoidance, be proactive. Look, where is the deal at risk of falling apart? What are the best practices to keep the deal alive? What do you think? What do you think would be something
where the deal is at risk of falling apart for the seller, or
let's say the buyer?
The buyer, maybe their loan.
Okay. Yeah. Where's another place?
An inspection.
Very good.
Not following through on getting the paperwork done on time.
Yep. All of these things are exactly what they're looking for. What is the best practice to keep the deal alive? I really think that that's going to be different for every single agent, because what works for me might not work for you, Edith. What works for Edith might not work for Teresa. What works for Teresa might not work for Amy. Really, if this is what helps you, if this is what you live by, use it. If a Google Calendar is what you live by, use it. If writing it on the whiteboard is what works for you, use it. Just use something, do something. Okay.
I have a whiteboard where I put all my important stuff. I have one upstairs and then I have one downstairs because for my
I
day.
know an agent who uses Google Docs. Actually, she uses Google Sheets, so it's like Excel. And I can definitely see when you have more than one deal going on, how that could be a lifesaver. Because how are you to remember who the lender is for this person, this person, this person, and this person if they're all different? And not only that, each one you have to remember who the admin is for each deal. You know what I mean? They're all going to have different dates. So just got to use what works for you and make sure to actually use it. Be the fiduciary. Always act in your client's best interest, even when it seems to conflict with your own. No deal is worth your reputation. Okay, I think that's all the notes. Referrals and reviews. Future opportunity, repeat and referral business. Take advantage of all opportunities to earn your unfair share. Repeat business, referral business, client reviews. Clients that feel like their experience with you was effortless and special are more likely to come back to you the next time they need to buy or sell a house. They're also more likely to refer others to you and write reviews, which will help generate new leads. Let's talk about how you can turn today's transaction into tomorrow's business. The command follow-up programs and the touch campaigns you leverage after the transaction will help you stay in close emotional proximity with your clients. Have you met with Vince yet?
Yes.
And have you set up any of your clients or any of your database on a touch program?
I've entered some of for my nephew. I entered his information so that I told him to register, but I want to be able to I thought I sent it, that he gets something, I think bi-monthly, where in the area that they're looking to buy a house. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so you set them up on a neighborhood nurture. Okay, so that means you set them up on a home search in a certain zip code, or the other way is to like send them, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like they own their home and this is what homes are selling around them, like something like that. Keep doing that. Keep learning more about the touch program. Meet with Vince, go to any trainings that he has. That's a good way to steal 5 or 10 minutes of his time without feeling bad, because you're coming to his classes and learning more. I believe he has one tomorrow, but getting them on a touch program is definitely a way to help stay in contact with them. It's going to send them automatic emails without you even having to remember to do so. You just got to set it up. Take a little bit of time and set it up. Ask for referrals at every conversation, throughout the transaction, and at the close. Okay, so don't forget to ask them, do you know anybody who wants to buy or sell real estate? I can help them. Don't you think I can help them? Pretty sure I can help them. Please, 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 right? All right, anything? Oh, wait, we're not done yet. This is command, this is the co-agent follow-up. Build your business and your downline with co-agent relationships. In addition to staying in contact with your client and building those referrals, you should ensure you're continuing a positive relationship with your co-agent. What are the benefits of continuing a relationship with a co-agent? getting info early about their new listings in a neighborhood. I don't know any agent that does that, but they're saying it's a possibility. Learning from a more experienced agent, getting referrals, established agents especially may only work in particular neighborhoods or price points. What I would say the benefit for me with the co-agent follow-up is like, one of the buyers that I helped buy, the house was 2 hours away. The listing agent asked me if I could grab her lockbox for her and bring it back to Sacramento. That's unheard of. But she felt comfortable enough because it's a different code to take the lockbox off the house. I could have kept the dang lockbox if I was a bad person, right? But now if she ever sees my name come through on a deal, she's gonna be like, oh, I remember Melinda, she's amazing. That's good, right? So following up with the co-agent can't hurt, can only help. Anything you have questions on?
No, not right
No,
now.
was that really confusing or did it help?
No, that all makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Knowing a little bit about the timeline will definitely help. I really think that diving deeper into it with your coach will show you the real, and going through a transaction is going to help a lot too. So, okay, so we're going to take a 10-minute break. We're going to come back at 2:05
Okay.
and finish this class up.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're
Okay.
welcome. All right, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
All right, this is the last class. Plan your future. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen. I went downstairs to my calendar. Oops. I went downstairs and the class I missed was capture leads with open houses. So I looked on the reignite
Mm-hmm.
and work with.
Well, the way that Ignite works is that you have two classes in one. So there had to have been, I mean, unless you came in for one of the classes. Let me hang on a second.
It was on June 29th that I missed.
Okay, let me take a look at the calendar.
Or was it July? No, we're not. Yeah, June 29th.
June 29th. Oh, that's July. No, June 29th was a Saturday.
We're not there yet.
June 29th. So that class. You see how slow my freaking computer is? That was capture leads with open houses and capture leads with social media. So if I go back to YouTube. And I type in the search bar. KW Sac Metro. And then I see California Premiere here. Can you see my screen for the
Yes.
YouTube?
Mhm.
Okay. And then I go to playlists. And then I scroll down and I see reignite your career. Gonna automatically start like the whole entire playlist. So
And that's the trouble I was having. I didn't know based
so
on
what I would tell them is that the classes you're missing are not on here.
okay.
Yeah, just say, hey, the class that I need is not on here.
Okay, so that's what I guess I was doing it right. And I
Yeah.
just didn't know. I was like, okay, why I can't find it? Okay.
Yep, you were right.
Okay.
Okay, can you see my, hang on a second, slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So it says lead generation, lead follow-up and transaction.
Yes.
All right. Today is the final day of Ignite. You've learned so much. And I'm sure you instinctively know there's so much more to experience and learn along the way. That's normal. Ignite has given you the foundation for building a big business, and you will embark on that journey after today. Today, we close out the transaction segment with both looking back and looking forward. And we will discuss a little bit about finances and having a smart money business. What the heck did I do? So let's talk about setting your sights on a big future. How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. So I guess what I want to ask is, what does this quote mean to you? How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters. What do you think that this means?
I guess maybe the way you think is going to, see, how do I say this? Like if I'm thinking positive and I'm going to make it and I'm going to do it, and then so I set myself up for success. But if I'm like, this is too hard, I'm not going to make it, I'm setting myself up for maybe making it harder than, because it's already confusing. So you don't want to put that added negativity on you. I'm not sure.
Yeah, when I think that was a great response, by the way. When I think about that quote, what you think matters, how you think in the beginning really matters. Sometimes when we think about, let's just talk about running a 5K. When I think about running a 5K, it makes me want to vomit. That's not the lifestyle I lead. I'm not about that life. However, let's say I wanted to do it. There would be a lot of training that needs to go in. My body is not used to running that many miles or running on the pavement or, cardio. If I'm being honest with you, I would have to train my body to do so that I don't pass out running my first 5K. If I think about all of the steps, I would get overwhelmed. I would get all of these limiting beliefs that come into my mind that are like, you can't do that. You don't have the time. Your body is not there. You don't have the proper gear. You would need $150 shoes. Think about all the injuries you can get. Do you see how it kind of gets like, well, let's just not even start, right? But if you can only think about the next step, the next thing you need to do, it's not as overwhelming. So that's what I think about when I think of this quote, is that just take that next step, plan. You are at a great agency. Keller Williams is amazing and they train their agents very well. So definitely dive back into the market center and use what you have available to you. Throughout Ignite, we've talked about the importance of mindset, because mindset matters, not just today, not just during Ignite. It matters every day. Sometimes your mindset turns to doubt, disappointment, or fear, and these are the times to be aware of quickly correct. It's within your control. You control your mindset. Oh, you control your mindset. Your mindset does not control you. Now let's examine where you are now to where you were at the beginning of Ignite. If I had to ask you that question, what would you say? Do you think your mindset is any different than at the beginning of Ignite?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel a little bit more confident?
I feel when I first started taking these classes, I was still, I mean, everything, it was still, I'm going to be honest, like really overwhelming, but each class became like, oh, I understand a little bit better. Oh, now I understand a little bit better. So that fear was, it's not that I have a lot to learn still, and I want to absorb. I am in a different mindset than I was, because I understand a little bit better. Like even like say when I met with Vince the very first time, if I met with him now, it would be different, because I have a little bit better of understanding of what it is that I'm doing.
Right. I would just encourage you to focus on your mindset daily. Know what you need to get done for the day, even if it's just going on Facebook and liking and commenting on people's posts, reminding them that you're in real estate, that sort of thing, just to get more, or looking at the car forms. be in touch with your mindset. And sometimes we have to do a reset. Sometimes we need to, for me, the biggest mindset reset is one of two things. Either I listen to some podcasts or I read an encouraging, like mindful book. Not fiction. It's about bettering yourself. Or the easiest fix for me, because sometimes I don't want to read, is going outside and literally laying on the ground in the sunset, no thoughts, no worries, just being one with the ground. That probably sounds weird, but it works for me. And I do it a lot because it does help my mindset. It reminds me that there's not any problems that I can't get through. You know what I mean? So whatever helps reset your mindset and gets you back on track, identify that and allow yourself to do that when you need to. So this is the Keller Williams belief system. It's win-win or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas before results. Teamwork, together everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty. Opportunities for all. Success results through people. Revisit your value proposition. So at the beginning of Ignite, you were given the chore or the assignment to write a value proposition. I think last week I asked if anyone had done that, and I don't remember the responses, but if you haven't done that, I suggest you do that. And this might be something that you write every year because maybe your value proposition has changed. Maybe you want to revisit that. But when, just like when we're talking to our clients and having to remind them of their why, sometimes we have to remind ourselves of our why we got into this business, why we like helping people purchase homes. Okay. So does my value proposition truly reflect who I am, the value I bring, and the benefit my clients will experience working with me? Am I confident sharing my value proposition with my contacts? If not, how can I make it easier to express my value? I think my first value proposition said something like helping good people find good homes. Doesn't have to be long, but most are a little bit like a little paragraph or something. I haven't really sat down and done a value proposition, but I need to, because there's oftentimes that I need to remind myself of my big why. Revisit your big life, your vision, your future, your big life. Is there anything you'd change after 4 weeks, or are you thinking big enough? So what this is asking is in the next 4 weeks, is there anything you'd like to change about your life? For me, it would probably be more deals. I'm sure any agent would say that. Let me get some more deals in my pipeline. Let me get some more money rolling into my bank account. One thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus. Big why. Big because you are after extraordinary results. Why? Is it the reason you get up every day and do what you do? So for me, my big why is kind of a lot to take in. I am a mother of 2, and I tried to work when my kids were very young and just found that after daycare and gas and lunch every day for me, I was only ending up after every paycheck like $200. And me and my husband had to reevaluate me working, and I decided to stay at home. My kids are now 21 and 17 years old. They're self-sufficient, And I didn't work for a really long time. I am 42 years old and didn't really have a career. So my big why is to contribute back to my household. My husband is the moneymaker. He always has been. And I would like to, God forbid something happens to him. What do we do then? You know, and I really like the business that I'm in. Not everybody knows how to do this. And everyone needs help with it. And it's something I truly enjoy doing. So everyone's big why is going to be different, and that's okay. So let's dig into a little bit more. Your big why. Is it big?
Yeah.
For me, my big why originally was to be a contender in having, equal what I bring home with my husband. But now my big why is to exceed that. I want to break that ceiling. I want to go above. I want to be the moneymaker. Is it important to you? Gets you out of bed every morning, excited to get busy, brings you energy and focus, is an ultimate turbocharger, is it already present, even if you haven't thought about it big enough? Your big why can be really big, or it can be a small big. It doesn't matter. It's whatever drives you. So I am ready to start building my life. I've been raising babies for the last 21 years. And while my 17-year-old is still in the home and still requires a lot from me, it's senior year. And no one's path is wrong. I see agents who have their careers built and they're just now starting to have babies, and that's great as well. However, my path was okay too. That was my path, and I loved my path. Now I need to start working real hard. You know what I mean? So,
How long have you been a realtor?
a little over a year. Yeah.
I retired from the state about 3 years ago. I think I worked, I can't remember, maybe 27 years. And
Oh, wow.
This is something that I had always wanted to do, but I didn't. So, and then I retired, my husband retired because he was injured on his job. So I retired, I got a little bit sick and I retired. And I also, because I wanted to help my daughter, and she was to take care of my grandson. So I take care of my grandson, but he's going to be, he was getting out of school at 11:20, but in September, he'll be getting out at 2. So now I'll have all of this time, more time than I did. And I want to be able to bring in I have my retirement, but I want to bring in income so that I could pay both our houses off. And because we have 2 houses. And then that way I can set up my daughter.
My big why is including some financial freedom for my children as well.
So that's everything I do. I do it for my family and especially my daughter and my grandson, so that it will continue. And that will make me very happy if I can contribute to help pay both because I bought my childhood home when my mom passed away. She left it to all my siblings, so I bought them out. And that was really important to my daughter. So I want to be able to maintain both houses, and that's really important. And then buy a vacation home, have extra money to.
Yeah, I love that. Have you written this down?
No, not yet.
Write it down somewhere, even if you email it to yourself, and then you can add to it. And then sometimes when you don't want to go do the things that you need to do, you can look at your big why and then be inspired.
And it will make me really happy to be able to help someone either get in a home or sell their home, because I know when we bought our first home, it was scary, and our realtor was really, really good. And we're to this day, we're still really good friends with the realtor and with my lender, and they've helped us all. I mean, it was just a really good experience. And I'm thankful the way they helped us, and I would like to do that
Yeah,
also. To be able
absolutely.
to, so someone to say, oh, wow, they really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna continue to use them or use her because I had such a good experience with her. That would mean a lot to me.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the 6 core competencies of a business. Lead generate, capture and convert to appointments, present to buyers and sellers and get agreement, show buyers and market sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, and managing the money. Where your commission dollars go. It's important to remember that getting paid in the real estate industry is different from the salary you have gotten before.
Right.
The check you get upon closing a deal is not to be put in your pocket and spent. There will be expenses to pay and the ever-present taxes that must be saved for and paid every quarter. What happened to me? Let's see. About a third goes to the market center to cover your company dollar, franchise royalty, and fees. Roughly another third goes back into your business to cover marketing, operating expenses, signs, your car, your phone, and anything else you need to conduct and grow your business. And don't forget, you must save for taxes. Uh-oh, what did I do? Come on. I will say if Amy or John, or to be honest with you, anybody else at the market center if you ever see advertisement for a financial class that's being done here at the market center, take it. It's life-changing. Okay, let's look at an example. These are 2 different scenarios on a transactions closed by a solo agent, Jessica Campbell, where her share of the commission is $9,000. Is the $9,000 commission Jessica receives profit or income and revenue? It's income. That's why it's called GCI, or gross commission income. Profit is what's left over to grow your business, save for taxes, and fund your personal lifestyle. It's important to know the difference between income and profit. Why is Jessica getting a check for $5,760 for a commission of $9,000? The market center fees are deducted before Jessica's check is cut. In this scenario, Jessica is saving 40% of her income for taxes. This may be a high number, and it's best to check with a CPA to determine a rate at which you should save for taxes. That's most agents put it, well, I don't want to say most. Some agents I have spoken to put away 30, but if you can save 40, this is how it was explained to me. And while I am no financial expert, this is just what I've been taught. If you put 40 away, the goal is that when you go to do your taxes, you will have put too much away. So you get a refund from your own money. Does that make sense? If you put 30 away, then you might be just at saving enough or might have to come out of your pocket. So it's best to try to put 40 away. Most agents receive little or no guidance on how to handle their first or any commission check. And at the end of scenario 1, with no money left over to pay their taxes and a life they still need to fund. Incorporate these financial sound business practices into your business from the start with every transaction you close. You have to remember too that depending on how you signed up with MetroList, you'll have to pay every 3 months MetroList, which is, I think mine is like $150. That's access to MetroList. That's my e-key. And then yearly you have your car dues.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yep. I was talking to a potential listing coming up that I have, and I told her that the photo, she asked about the photos and I said, don't you worry about anything. That's all stuff that I work for. That's included in my commission fee. She said, I'm just curious as to how much it is. And I said, it's $350. It's not cheap.
No.
Good photos on a property are not cheap. And I would not want to not get the best for your property. You know what I mean? So anyways, money is good for the good it can do. Now that we have a clear understanding of the importance of being financially sound, let me ask you, what is the purpose of business? It's profit. With profit, you have the money to do good for your family and your community. The flow of money. Let's explore the difference between income and profit and how the way you think of it can change the outcome of your business. If you've taken an accounting course, you probably know the formula commonly used to calculate the profit of your business is income minus expenses equals profit. So you take your income, you minus your expenses, and then that gives you your profit. This is a little bit hard for me because we have to calculate in gas, we have to calculate in miles, and all these things, but that's why it's best to speak to a CPA because they can really help break this down for you. So it's good if you can identify what your profit goal is. And then also, how can I minimize expenses to maximize my net income? And then down at the bottom of the blue pyramid, it says income. How many homes do I have to sell? That's going to be different for everybody in every area because it depends on the price of the home. I mean, you could sell a $10 million home and maybe be set for the year, right? Or you could sell a $100,000 mobile home. Are you going to turn that down? Probably not. But if you do, send them my way, right? Every deal counts. So income, how many homes do I have to sell? I think it's good though to look at it and say, how many homes do I want to sell this year? What's my goal? Give yourself a goal because then you can reevaluate it and say, man, I'm so far away. Like for instance, my goal was big this year. I wanted to sell 100 homes. That did not happen. But you know what? I went after that goal and I'm still trying. The year's not over yet.
But you've done so well in a really short period of time.
Mm-hmm. You have to remember that I worked with Amy very closely. I was her admin before Teresa. And before that, I was in a mortgage broker's office. I worked there and I did property management. So, and also the thing is that some agents, when they get a deal and they're very new, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing yet. So can you do it and then just pay me a referral fee? While that's great, you're not going to learn that way. At least how I learn is I have to go through it. I have to fill it. I have to do all the things. So I wouldn't just encourage new agents to just do it. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to keep putting it off, and then you're never going to learn. You're never going to go through the transaction. You're not going to know how to do the paperwork. Okay. Expenses related to your real estate business. Cost of sales. The cost expenses really choking. Sorry, hang on. The costs related to each transaction you make. The cost of making the sale. Commissions paid to the market center, royalty fees. Commissions are split paid to employees or independent contractors involved in sales, referral fees. Operating expenses. The cost related to running your business, whether you have sales or not. Rent, auto, salaries for administrative staff, insurance, professional services, marketing and advertising, equipment and supplies, education. Now, from a new agent standpoint, because believe it or not, I'm still a new agent, let me break this down to you how I see it. I don't have administrative fees yet, but yes, I do because I pay a TC. So if you pay a TC, what is that, $150? I have to pay my car payment every month, which is $350. I have to pay my insurance every month, which I don't know if I could break that down right now because we're on a family plan. The laptop that I'm using, I have to pay for. The batteries for my mouse. I mean, if you really broke it down, it's a big expense. So when people, or if people, try to tell you, well, what does your commission, why am I paying 6%? What am I getting? You're getting a lot, homie. I do a lot and I have a lot of expenses. You know what I mean? So I would seriously sit down and try to break it down so that when you have to remind yourself why you're charging 6%, you don't discount yourself. Or let's say it's 7%, let's say it's 5%, whatever you guys agree on. But you have to remember everything that, because God forbid you get to the end of the deal and you get paid $500 and you're like, I'm not doing that again. You know what I mean? Best practices: gain clarity on your big why and plans for your future. Set your professional and business budgets. Open additional bank accounts for taxes. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned in that. John did a financial class a while back. I took it, changed my life. I got a separate account for my taxes. And it's a lifesaver. Get a separate bank account for your expenses and other savings account. Break your money down so that it's easier for you, because I don't know if you're anything like me or if this has ever happened to you. Oh, I've got, $1,000 in my account, and then all of a sudden direct, billing hits and it takes out all this money, and now I have $5 left over. It happens, right?
Yeah.
Download and use the MREA chart of accounts. If you need that, I would reach out to Amy. The MREA is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's also a book that I believe Gary Keller wrote. If you haven't read it, get it. Start reading it. It'll help teach you. Purchase and download tax accounting software. Now that's one option, or you can hire a CPA. But there is an app that I love. I'm going to share it with you. It does cost money. It is called Hurdler. It's that green one.
What is it called?
It's spelled HURDLR. It's Hurdler, and I'm going to show you real fast what it does. At the top, can you see that it shows me how many miles I've driven? So this is for the year, and this is only with using it like for the last 3 or 4 months. I've done 303 drives, and my total tax deduction is $2,900. So it tracks every single drive. That one was 1.2, and you can label it business or personal. Go get that app. That's big.
Okay.
Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. Prepare for your future: insurance, savings, and investments. Revisit your profit and net goal income. Net income goal, company dollar and royalty cap, business expenses, total gross commission income, your average commission, and annual transaction goal. Get paid at close. Check with your market center staff on the process. I think it's important that you do that, especially when you get into contract. Like, hey, who does what and who do I go to for what? Like, if there's a problem with my check, because what happens is you get notified that the deal has closed, and hey, where the heck is my check? Who do I reach out to get that information? You know what I mean? Anything you want to talk about? Any questions or concerns, or not yet?
Not yet.
Importance of accountability keeps your mindset focused and positive, reminds you of your big why, challenges you and makes you uncomfortable at times, is one of the 6 personal perspectives. Be accountable. So the importance of accountability, I've heard that a lot with people talking about like people who go to the gym. How do you have all that energy? Well, I don't. I just do what I need to do. I hold myself accountable, and this is something that I need to do, so I'm going to do it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? So challenge yourself, remind yourself of your big why. Types of accountability. So there are a lot of people who need an accountability partner. I think definitely you having a coach is going to help. It helps everyone, in my opinion, but you can tell them, hey, I need a little bit of accountability. Is that something you can help me with? Like if I tell you I'm going to make 10 calls or host 2 open houses, I need you to say, hey, did you do that? And if you didn't, why the heck not? You know what I mean? A productivity coach, a mentor, KW Maps coach. A KW Maps coach, you have to actually sell so many dollar amount before you can get a Maps coach, but having a productivity coach in the meantime is definitely great. A 411 is something that your coach can go over with you. So they go over your goals and then they follow up with you. How are you doing with these goals? What have you done to move yourself forward to those goals? Time blocking, one of the best tricks of the trade I think that could ever happen. Schedule yourself to do things. Schedule yourself to post on Facebook. Schedule yourself to make calls to your sphere. Schedule yourself to look on the Metro list. Schedule yourself for training. Be respectful of your own time. And if you're supposed to be doing something, just do it. Plan for learning. Learn about your market. This is kind of tricky in Sacramento, if you ask me, because it says preview homes, tour neighborhoods. There's a million different neighborhoods, literally endless. People always say, well, what's the going rate in Sacramento? Or I don't know, and I'm like, well, what part of Sacramento? Because let's really break it down. Your money can go further here and so it's just kind of one of those things. Days on the market. I do think that that's pretty important. What I would suggest is getting on Metro List and just start searching for homes in different neighborhoods.
That's what I've been doing.
Good. New construction. Did you know that you can help someone purchase a new build? They're all over the place. There's one in Natomas. Go look at them. Codes. That's not something I have not ventured down that path yet, but maybe I will someday. I think it is important. Attend events, family reunion, agent mega camp. I'm going to take that one step further because family reunion and agent mega camp are Keller Williams events. What I would tell you is that you are in the business to talk to people. That's how I look at my job. So the more people you can get in front of, the further you're going to go with your business. Every event, my goal at the beginning of the year was to go to every event that I was invited to, whether I wanted to or not. Do I want to go to your 2-year-old's birthday party? No, I don't have a 2-year-old. I have it in 17 years. I don't want another 2-year-old until I have grandkids. I do not want to go to the 2-year-old's birthday party. But guess what happens every single time I go to an event? People talk to me about real estate, which means they know I'm in real estate, which is good. And do I want to talk to them about real estate? I sure do. You know what I mean? So go to events, get out in front of people, volunteer at the school.
Yeah, well, that's how I got the one deal I'm working with right now is through my grandson's school because the grandmas are there picking up the grandkids. And I started talking to one of the grandmas and she told me, oh, my granddaughter wants to move closer. And I said, well, you know what? I went back to school and blah, blah, blah. And that's how we started talking. The other person I'm working with came and she bought something from Offer Up. And I started talking to her and she said, oh, me and my husband are looking for a house. And so, and I thought that was going to be a little hard for me because I've been out of, I've been retired for 3 years. So, and then the pandemic hit. So I was like,
Mhm.
I have to get back into the swing of things of going to the family events, and getting out there. And
Right.
yeah, so that's my goal.
Yep. Remind yourself of that goal. Also, the last thing that it says on here is read. Read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Shift, The One Thing. These are all books. These are real estate books that will help you. So be learning based. There are several things at Keller Williams that you can take that will help your career. The 6 personal perspectives, bold, quantum leap, command trainings. What I would say is that the office sends out a weekly agenda telling you what's coming up. Read it, look over it, decide what you want to take that week.
What is bold? Because I saw that earlier on. I know it's a class, but what does it?
It is a how do I explain bold? It's a 6-week course. You take it 1 day a week. Normally it's on Thursdays and it's all day. And they train you. So they train you on how to be a successful agent. And they say that you will walk away from bold with 6 transactions. What happened at my bold? You listen to your speaker talk and you're in a group. So you're at a table with 6 other people, 5 other people, 4 other people, however many people are in the group. And there's a whole bunch of different tables. You listen to the speaker for a good majority of the day. And then they give you a task. Go call on your phone for 10 minutes. And I want you to start, just call people and ask them this question, or call people and tell them that you're thankful for them. I called one of my friends, my best friends, and I said, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I was not happy about the calling part. And I was like, hey, I am in this class and I got to do this. So humor me. Do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell? And she was like, no. Immediately said no. Perfect, great, fantastic. We started jibber jabbing because we're friends, And then she goes, oh my God, I forgot my dad needs a place. He was kicked out of his mobile home park and he has to move. And I was like, girl, let's go. So I found her dad a property to purchase. We got him in there. She's fixing up the old mobile home because it was in such bad condition, and I'm getting ready to list it, all because of bold. So it's great. It does cost money. You can get reimbursed for it, but it's definitely something that it's an experience that I would suggest people take. All right. This is our mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. That last sentence is really what I want to do. I want to have a legacy worth leaving. Get real about your situation and get right about what you're doing. Bring a greater sense of clarity, priority, and focus to your work. Design your future. Build your value proposition. Write down your big why, your profit goal. What do you want to make? Number of transactions you need to do. Because sometimes if we want to make $100,000 and on average each commission is 10 grand, how many, you can do the math. How many transactions do I need to do? Have yourself a smart database, meet with Vince, go to all of the trainings on those. Smart money business, accountability and learning, all the things that it's going to take to have a successful business. Any questions? Because we're done. Okay, I would email Amy and her team, figure out how you can get that class. It's probably not Amy and her team. I believe that the office does it. But I don't know. Hang on a second. I thought Sam was out there, but she's not. So, just ask them. They might have a recording that they can send to you, or worst case scenario, you can watch for it on the next round of Ignite and just take that one class.
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not right now. Thank you. It's
You're
a lot.
welcome.
It's a lot of
lot.
information, and I'm just hoping that this deal goes, I'm hopeful that my deal goes, she'll let me know on Monday, because she wants to use one. I think I shared with you, she wants to use one of those programs, Open Door or Offer. I can't remember the other one.
Okay.
And so they're going to go to her house, give her an evaluation. Tomorrow I'm meeting one of the lenders that I'm still friends with, and we recommend her all the time. She sent me to a class, I think it was Tuesday, on marketing. And so tomorrow she just kind of wants to meet with me. And and then the realtor, that's my friend who actually worked with Keller, started with Keller Williams. I'm just getting a lot of information, and it's just a lot still. I'm still absorbing everything.
Yep. Keep learning, keep growing, and I believe in you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for teaching the class.
Of course. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.